Hi everyone, it's Marian and welcome to my Wasteless Life. In this video, let's talk about the 5 things plant parents should be doing right now. Thank you so much for joining me today, and if you're new, my Wasteless Life is where I take you along my plant journey and share with you some of my beginner tips and tricks on houseplants and sustainable lifestyle.
It's the last days of summer and the beginning of the end of the growing season. Leaves will soon change color in fall, days are getting shorter, and weather is getting cooler in the mornings and in the evenings.
And while the change in season is something that we all welcome, but the transition can be challenging for our houseplants. And for new plant parents who just started their plant journey this year, the transition period can be a stressful period. And I'm sure if you're anything like me, during my first year as a plant parent, I bought way too many plants than I should have. That's okay, but we spend so much time, energy, and money into our houseplants over the spring and summer to just let them die in the fall and winter. We also don't want all the growing our houseplants did over the spring and summer to go to waste if they don't survive 2020. As we head towards wetter weather, here are the 5 things that I think plant parents should be doing right now, or at least think about doing really soon, so that our houseplants would have a smoother transition into the cold season. Number 1, if you have any plants that need repotting, go ahead and repot them now. Do not wait until the fall season or the cold season to do it. While we are at the tail end of the growing season, it is still the growing season. So this is the best time for your plants that need repotting to be repotted, so they have enough time to properly adjust to their new medium, to their new soil, and it won't be as much of a shock for your house plants. And the plants that you already repotted in the early spring at the start of the growing season, they likely don't need any repotting now, but check on your plants, see which plants have roots that already started to grow out of the drainage hole or on top of the soil or already starting to get root bound. Those are the plants that you might think about repotting before the growing season ends. Number 2 is start paying more attention to how frequent you're watering your houseplants. So as the days are getting shorter and the temperatures are starting to get cooler, our houseplants are not going to need as much watering as they're getting right now. This is likely the top reason why your houseplants will have a hard time transitioning into the colder weather is due to your watering. Because we're so used to watering them every so often during the growing season, as the colder season starts, they're not going to need that much water, and there's a risk of overwatering our houseplants. So during this transition period, using a moisture meter might be a good idea if you can't really tell if your plants need watering or not. And using plant tracker apps might help you out as well. If you have an iPhone, you can use the app Planta. If you are an Android user like me, you could use the app called Planter. But those apps are only as good as the data you put in them. So during this time, those apps are better for reminding you when you last watered your houseplants than when you're going to water them next. So you might have to adjust your reminders every now and then as you notice that the days in between your watering starts to get longer. And normally for me during the growing season, I water my plants every 7 to 10 days depending on their size. But once I head towards the cold season, I water my plants between 15 to 20 days. And for the plants that I'm already watering every 3 to 4 weeks during the growing season, I could get away sometimes with not even watering them or just watering them once a month, maybe even less frequent than that. And number 3, start cutting down on the amount of fertilizer that you apply to your houseplants. If you're using a slow-release granular fertilizer, you probably only need to fertilize your houseplants one more time before the end of the growing season. But if you're using a liquid fertilizer, you need to start cutting down on the strength and the frequency of your application of your liquid fertilizer. Right now, you're using a teaspoon of liquid fertilizer per gallon. You need to cut it down to half a teaspoon to a quarter teaspoon and then to none by the end of the growing season. Most of our houseplants don't need fertilizing during the growing season as they head towards dormancy. And even for my houseplants that still continue to grow over the winter, I don't give them fertilizers because they don't grow as much or as fast during the winter, even they are continuing to grow. Over-fertilizing and over-excess of nutrients can also be very detrimental for our houseplants. So let's start cutting down on the fertilizer that we give them as we head towards the end of the growing season. Number 4, take inventory of how much houseplants you actually have. If you're like me, you have the ability to put some plants outside during the growing season. We tend to think we have more real estate than we actually have for more plants indoors because we forget about the plants we have outside that eventually need to be brought back in. And so this is a good time to take inventory of how many plants you have, see what plants you have outside that need to be brought in, so you can also start making preparations for those plants that are outside, because you also need to give them time to acclimate being inside once again. And that way, if you're also trying to stop yourself from buying more plants, by taking inventory of how many plants you have, you'll kind of realize you don't really have space for new ones anymore. And I remember during last winter season when I had to bring all the plants back inside the house, instead of giving me the indoor jungle vibes, it just made the house feel very cluttered and claustrophobic, especially during the holiday season when we also have all the Christmas decors and Thanksgiving decors and the Halloween decors. So it can be a little bit too much, especially if it's your first year as a plant parent experiencing your first winter with that many plants. By taking inventory of the plants that you currently have now, that is the amount of plants that you know that you can take care of come cold season, and make decisions on house plants that you want to keep and plants that you want to rehome. Trust me, in the next month or so, you'll hear a lot of plant parents talk about downsizing their plant collection as we head towards the cold season, because that happened to a lot of plant parents last year, and we weren't in the middle of a pandemic. That was the pre-COVID life. I can't imagine what it will be like in the next 2 months or so, especially if things don't get any better and people lose their jobs and have to move and can't bring their houseplants with them. So that's actually another sad pro tip. If you are in search of a particular plant and the prices right now are ridiculously high because the demand is so high, come fall you would see a lot of plant parents wanting to rehome their houseplants. So you're either going to get them for a really cheap price, or you might even get them for free. So instead of buying more plants right now, just hold off until the fall season. You'll probably find a lot of people wanting to rehome their houseplants. So it's a sad situation when you think about it, but it's better to adopt other people's houseplants and give them a new home instead of spending money on houseplants right now, in my opinion. Even though, don't judge me when I have a shipment of plants coming really soon. In the next few videos, I'll be showing you a plant unboxing. That will be my last order of houseplants this year. I promise. It better be. Lastly, number 5, propagate your plants. That might seem counterintuitive to what I just said about downsizing your plant collection in preparation for the colder season, but bear with me on this one. One way to create more space and real estate for your houseplants is to prune down your houseplants, consolidate the duplicate plants that you have, make cuttings of them, and propagate those plants. And the propagations that you grow right now, you could either give them away or sell them. And that's what I did last fall. I propagated some plants to sell. I also sold off my duplicates. And this year I'm doing the same thing. I mass propagated a bunch of my pothos cuttings and cuttings from some of my other plants. I get a lot of questions whether I sell plants or not. Right now, I just do it seasonally. I don't have a constant inventory because I just take cuttings from my plant collection, and compared to other plant YouTubers, my plant collection is relatively small. I have around 50 plants, maybe 60 now, and I tend to keep it around the 50 range. Yeah, I only sell plants during spring and early fall, and I will have my plants posted on my Etsy. Others will probably for Facebook Marketplace for people who live in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. You can buy plants from me as local pickup. I will have some for sale on Etsy so that those who want plants from me, I can ship those plants to you anywhere in the US. Again, unfortunately, I can't do it internationally. But yeah, so that's one thing you can do, make propagations of the plants that you have now and sell them, and at least get back some of the money you spent on your houseplants over the spring and summer. And another thing you can do is to give your plant propagations to your family and friends. And last holiday season, to save money on gift giving, I gave out plant propagations to my friends, and honestly, they love it. Most people would love to receive a plant from you, especially now when there's so much interest in houseplants. And closer to the holiday season, I'll do a gift giving guide on houseplants, so do watch out for that one. But yeah, that's the way I saved money last year on gift giving, and my friends love it. I turned them into new plant parents, and after giving them plants, they're now plant people themselves. It's also a way to convert people into houseplants, so I highly do recommend it. So those are the 5 things that I think plant parents should do right now in order to help their plants transition well into the cold season. I know you might think it's a bit early to be making this video, but I wanted to do this right now so that you already start thinking about it, or at least be aware that it's something that you need to do really soon, instead of doing a video on this a month from now when it's probably a little bit too late for you to do some of the things that I just said in this video. So yeah, good luck with your houseplants. I'm pretty sure they would do well. This is not meant to panic you or stress you out. I hope the 5 things that I shared with you is something that will help you prepare and get ready for the fall and winter season, which comes with your houseplants, because you want those houseplants to survive and thrive even though they're in dormancy. And before I go, I just want to remind everyone, if you haven't seen my pothos collection video, I announced an end of summer giveaway in collaboration with Dr. Tongues. You're going to win these prizes right here, and the giveaway is open until August 28th. For all the details regarding that giveaway, go check out my pothos collection. I'll link it up here and somewhere down in the description. But thank you so much for watching. If you like this, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new here, I hope you subscribe. I come up with houseplants and sustainable lifestyle videos every week. And if you haven't yet, go check out these videos out here until my next one. But until then, I see you. I appreciate you. Take care of yourself and each other, and have a plentiful day. Bye.